The first thing I want to show you is how you go about uploading your third-party SCORM content into uPerform and have it act just like any other uPerform content. So let's start by taking a look at the content that I have and how you go about preparing it. I have some Captivate content here, and it's published. I have Captivate content and it's unpublished. What's the difference between the two? The published content has been published in Captivate. So it's been prepared by Captivate, and that's the one that I'm going to actually use. So let's go over here to the uPerform Learning Library. I'm an administrator in uPerform, so I'm going to open the Management Center. I'm going to go to my project that I would like to use, New Employee Orientation. I'm going to click on Document Library because that's where I want to load it. And in this case, I want to load it into my folder called Safety because I happen to know this content has to do with safety. How do I get it in there? I'm going to choose this menu over here on the right, and I'm going to choose Add Managed Document. This is going to allow me to upload my third-party content into uPerform. I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. I could give it a description if I want to, but to save time, I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and choose the file, and the file that I'm going to choose is the unpublished version. This is our source file, basically, that has all of the content necessary for somebody who just wants to store this on the uPerform server. And then I'm going to choose the published file for actually viewing it as a uPerform user. And watch what happens when I type in the launch file that is inside that zip. uPerform recognizes it and allows and shows me a label of it that I can click on to select if I want to. And basically what it's saying is it's going to use that to launch the content whenever it's ready and prepared for the end user. I click Save. Now I'm going to go ahead and assign this website context, which means I'm going to assign it to the end user website so that people can view it. And I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to go ahead and publish the content. And this will process the content and get it ready for the end user website. Now, publishing happens pretty quick because it doesn't really have to do anything. So you'll notice that it doesn't even really show up in the publish queue, but it will show up in your publish history. Now let's go ahead and go back to the uPerform Learning Library. We're going to go to that New Employee Orientation, and we're going to select Diverting Disaster. And as you can see, uPerform runs it just like a normal uPerform e-learning course. Now, I didn't want to get into too much detail about dealing with third-party content because we've actually done another webinar on this. So if you'd like to see this in more detail, you can refer back to our Intelligence Hub and just do a search on third-party. You'll see this Managing Third-Party E-Learning Content with uPerform Cloud demonstration. And it's about a 4-minute video, so it's real quick, real easy to watch, but it gives you just a little more detail about how to go about doing it. So feel free to refer back to that, as well as some of the other information that's available about dealing with third-party content. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about getting your uPerform content into a learning management system, and then having that learning management system be able to connect back to uPerform so that whenever the content is updated by an author in uPerform, that update can then be reflected in the learning management system. So how do we go about doing that? Well, the first thing is we got to get our content into uPerform. Well, in order to save time, I've already loaded my content into uPerform. I'm going to go back to that same project that I was in before called New Employee Orientation, but this time we're going to see that I have uploaded a document called SCORM Proxy Test Course. This is a simple course that I'm going to have our Learning Management System Administrator upload into the Learning Management System. But there's a few things that we need to talk about in preparation for this. You see, there's some stipulations to getting this right. Number one, you have to have what we call the Get Package feature turned on in your uPerform Cloud version. This feature is what is used by uPerform to produce the file that is the proxy file that will allow the learning management system and uPerform to communicate back and forth to each other. You then have to make sure your template is set to create SCORM 1.2 version documents. And now I'm going to show you how you go about setting that in your template. So the first thing you want to do is open your template from the server. Once you have your template open, you're going to go to Publications. When you go to Publications, you're going to select the type of publication that you want to make sure is delivering SCORM 1.2 content. So in this case, you can choose either course or simulation. And then once you've selected your course or simulation settings, you can then pull down that menu at the top and choose Course LMS Settings. Once you select that, you want to make sure that SCORM 1.2 is selected from within the package menu. Once you're certain that your template is ready to start producing SCORM 1.2 files, go ahead and create a uPerform course or a uPerform simulation using your uPerform desktop application. Check it into the server like I've done here. Then you're going to go to the actual course or simulation and you're going to publish it. You need to publish it in order to produce the proxy file that's necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. This document is now publishing. I'm going to go to the publishing queue and I'm just going to wait for this thing to finish processing. I'll click refresh. Once it's disappeared from the publishing queue, it is done. So now we're going to return back to the document. And you can do that by going to the publish history. This is the quickest way. Choosing the history, clicking on the document itself, and that takes you right back to the correct location. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull down this menu on the right and we're going to choose Get Package. This is going to provide us with a package to provide to the learning management system. Now that it's created the file, it's ready for download. So I'm going to click on this little arrow and have it take me to the folder where it downloaded to, but usually that's your downloads folder if you have the default set with your browser. Now I have the file ready to hand off to my learning management system administrator, and fortunately for us today, we have a special guest by the name of Helen Yu. She's our learning management system administrator, and I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to her, and she is going to upload this file into her learning management system and test it out for us. So Helen, take it away.
Thanks, Greg. I'd be happy to upload the SCORM Proxy file into a learning management system. What I have here is the skill jar LMS, and I've already created a course placeholder for the SCORM Proxy file. I'm going to click New Lesson and select the SCORM 1.2 option. Then I'm going to give it a name and upload the SCORM Proxy file to this upload area. I've already downloaded Greg's SCORM Proxy file to my desktop, so I'm going to drag the file into the upload area, and then I'm going to save it and then test it by previewing the course. Since the course is housed in the uPerform website, I'm going to need to authenticate in order to access the course. Your students can authenticate via single sign-on or form-based authentication. And once authenticated, the course will launch. Now, take notice of the image that is in the course here. And later, we'll see an update once Greg makes an update to the course. I'm going to run through the course and take the assessment. Yay, I passed. And then once finished, I'm going to exit the course. If the course had been published to the LMS, then it would capture my completion status and passing status within my student record in the LMS. If during testing the course doesn't launch, it may be due to a number of factors. That may include the manifest files, could be the zipped file, or it could be authentication issues. If you have an issue, open up a ticket with our customer success team through the Intelligence Hub, and we will help review and troubleshoot the issue with you. Now back to you, Greg.
Thanks, Helen. So I'm going to go ahead and make a change to this file so that we can see that there's not a whole lot that Helen has to do other than just open it back up to see the changes that I've made. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a quick change to this file. And you can see that I have the nurse here, and I'm going to just go ahead and change the picture over to the doctor. And now we have our change. We'll save it and check it in. Once I've checked this file in, I'm going to need to publish it for that change to take effect on the server. And then I can hand it back over to Helen and allow her to show you the changes are reflected on the learning management side without her having to re-import the file. Okay, so that's been checked in. I'm going to go ahead and publish it now. All right, that file is publishing. We'll let that finish. And back to you, Helen.
Thanks, Greg. Before you updated and republished the course on the uPerform website, I had gone ahead and provided this course to students on the LMS. What we're seeing here is the original version of the course before Greg made the update. Now that the course has been updated and republished, I'm going to close the course and relaunch the course from the LMS. When I relaunch the course, it authenticates me right away and passes me into the course. Now we can see the updated course with the new image. I'll go through the course, and you can see it has carried over my assessment results from my previous passing attempt. Therefore, I will go ahead and exit the course. Now, let me show you my student record from the administrative side of the LMS. In my student record, you can see my record indicates I have completed the course and I have passed it with a score of 100. With the SCORM Proxy, you can use your LMS to track your users' completion and passing status. Now back to you, Greg.
Thanks once again, Helen. Hey everybody, what do you say we go through a little bonus round? We have a little time left. So what I'm going to show you is how to add an assessment to an e-learning course. Some of you might be wondering how to go about doing that, so I'm just going to show you. If you go into the uPerform desktop application and you click New, you're going to get the opportunity to decide what you want to create, and in this case, you're going to choose Course. Give it a name, and then you're going to go and choose the project. And lastly, make sure you choose a local drive on your local machine as to where you want this to be loaded when it's created. Click OK, and that's going to create an empty course on your machine, and it's going to give you the opportunity to add a front page. So in this case, I'm just going to add a single image to the front page, and I'm just going to use one of those same images I just used a minute ago. I'm going to go ahead and add them to my course. I'm just going to do the nurse, and I'll do the doctor, and add those in. I'll have the nurse selected and click OK, and that's going to add the picture to my course. Now I'm just going to right click on the left list, and I'm going to insert assessment. And that's how you start a test. Now the assessment also requires a front page, just like the front page to the course. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a name, call it the test, add a picture once it sets up the page, and this time I'll choose the doctor. All right, and that's how you set up an assessment, but then you have to add questions to the assessment, and all you have to do once you've set up an assessment is choose Insert Page. This is going to allow you to select from all of the different test questions we have, and so I'm going to go ahead and choose one of them, and in this case, I'm going to choose a hotspot question. Now, what does that mean? And I'll just call this question 1. Question 1, click on the hotspot and then select it. Now, hotspot allows you to choose a place on the image where you can actually click, or where you're supposed to click, in order to get it right. Okay, so in this case, you can see the little green square, and I'm going to put it right on the hands. Okay, and you can resize it to match the area that you want them to click on. And in this case, I'm just going to ask the question, where are the hands? Question mark. And then that's all we have to do. And now we can preview this by clicking on preview. So I'll click on preview. And when that comes up, you're going to see the picture. So using my mouse, I'm going to click on the location of the hands. And then down at the bottom, I'm going to say continue. And it tells me whether or not my response is correct. So that's how you add a hotspot question to your test. You want to add another question? Just right click and choose insert page, and you'll be able to choose from all of the different questions again. Once you're done, check this into the server, publish it, assign website context where people can find it on the learning library, and you are good to go. So that's our webinar for today. Caitlin, I'm going to turn it back over to you.